guys, yeah, we're cruising the back roads of North Carolina again, and going to look at some property. Going to look at a piece of property for a friend up in Wake Forest. He's thinking of moving down here, so what the hell? I told him I go look at it, and as I'm riding, I'm trying to think of what am I going to talk about for the GS today, which I want to talk about the GS, and that's you know, I know I've beaten this topic probably pretty good, beaten it up pretty good as far as dependability. So I'm approaching whatever 20,000 miles. I'm still a little bit ways off, maybe 1,500 miles to go. And do you guys think, whoever watches my channel, whatever, do you guys still think that this bike is over-engineered, not dependable, and very expensive to service and work on? So just like some opinions. I know I'm going to, probably a lot of guys are going to feel like I do. It's not, but I'm sure I would love to hear somebody who thinks it is, which I never really hear any complaints about the GS on my channel. Obviously, because I don't have a lot of people coming onto the channel. You know, what do I get? 200-300 views a video if I'm lucky. So, but I'm talking anyway. You know, I like having you guys tag along and just talk about it. And you know, all my good friends that always respond, I appreciate it. But so they've sold 60,000 in the last year. So, I mean, is it all because of hype? No way, no way. Yeah, there's a little bit of hype involved, but it backs it up. There's no way it doesn't back it up. It's a really good bike. It's a dependable bike, and it's not expensive to service. Any bike can be expensive to service if you don't want to work on it yourself. Like, I've gone through all my videos. It's just so easy to work on it. And Mr. GS48 just put some risers on his. I don't feel the need for the risers. I mean, if I stand up, I don't know. It seems real comfortable to me. Now I'm standing up, and I don't know. I'm doing 55 or 54 miles an hour, and I don't know. They don't seem. I guess maybe I have long arms, but I understand why people do it, because you know it's just more control off road. But he had no problem putting them on. He had no problem putting on a windscreen. You know, I mean, if you can do these things, you can change the oil, you can change the air filter, you can do the brakes. The only service I would think that might be tough for some people is if they had to service, if they had to, when they do the valve service and just check the valve lash, if they had to change the lash, that's a little bit more involved. And I totally, I can understand that. But everything I've read from all the research I've done, very rare that they're ever out of spec. So I think that's a non-issue. And today's weather, as we go off topic a little bit, because you know me, I'm going to jump around. It's 72 degrees. It's got a nice cool breeze, so it's absolutely super for riding. The sun should be out in a couple hours as the clouds start to break overhead. And just a beautiful riding weather in North Carolina. This is the perfect season for North Carolina. Not too hot, not too cold. Although you heard from my last video, I don't mind riding in the heat. I'm just not a big fan of the cold. But I'll do it. I'll do it anyway, just to ride. So yeah, just give me your thoughts about reliability. Yeah, what you guys think overall. If you've never owned one, do you still think that they're just so expensive to service? And it just, yes, they're expensive bikes, but you know, there's a lot of expensive bikes out there. If I couldn't have a GS, guys, besides the dependability part, so it's going to be a two-parter, all right? I'm going to try to make it short. Maybe I don't want to make it too long, because I'm just kind of just cruising here. The sun's starting to come out, and you know, just heading up to Wake Forest. It's about, I don't know, 50 miles, so a nice destination, a nice cruise for my buddy. But I like when this pops into my head with these different topics. If you couldn't have a GS, what adventure bike would you choose? I really like the KTMs, but so that's the bike I would choose. What's the bike you would choose if the GS wasn't available? I mean, what would you think? Is performance more or is it just overall? The overall, I don't know, what am I going to say? The overall performance of the bike as far as going off-road, comfort and everything like that. Is the GS the best or not? I don't know. I'm all over the place. I'm thinking, you know, the Multistrada is nice and everything like that. I like the Multistrada. I like the way it looks. But the only thing that I'm turned off about the Multistrada is not the fuel mileage, because you know what, you're buying a bike like that, you can afford the fuel. Is it has the horsepower upstairs, but it doesn't have the low end torque. You got to you know, put some RPM in it, and that means you have to probably have it in the right gear at the right time. So where you don't have to think about that with the whatchamacallit, with the GS or the KTM. You just crank it whatever gear you're in, it's fine. So that's the only thing that would probably turn me off. Handling wise, I don't know. Like I said, they're all so close. I know some guys have said it, and even some professionals say that the GS, you know, it's a little bit more vague because of the telelever suspension. Pardon me, I gotta scratch my nose. But we're not talking about the GS. We're talking about the KTM, the Multistrada. What would you do for an adventure bike? Or you would go, just don't care about the power, you'd go with the African Twin. Me, I know what it would be a KTM. KTM for sure. So yeah, this is a 35 mile an hour zone, so I can't go faster. Well, I can, but I don't want to get a ticket. So yeah, so those are good topics. Two of them. The one is, you know, is this bike overhyped and overrated and not dependable? And if so, why does 60,000 people have purchased this bike? I don't see a lot of them. You know, as I was on my road trip, going racing everywhere, I seen a couple of them, but I very rarely see one around here. I know they're all over Europe, but I haven't seen one. So, but to me, they may be overhyped a little bit, but they're reliable, guys. If you're on the fence about one, you got to be nuts not to get one. I mean, if you like it, don't worry about the maintenance. If you can do an oil change, you can do all the maintenance. And if you don't want to do it, it's fine. Then you're gonna have to pay whatever the money is for any bike. I don't care what bike you have, it's the same. And you know, when I look at some of these Japanese bikes, which everybody raves about as far as dependability of a Kawasaki, Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda, blah blah blah. You know, not all of them are very accessible for service. You know, especially if they have fairings. Brain stall. I'm stalled. The African Twin is an absolute pain in the ass to service, because to get to the air filters and just oil changes are easy, but it's not the easiest. Even though it's probably a highly reliable bike, you know, the service is not the. This is a piece of cake. I popped this plastic piece off, and there's your air filters. Everything is just so simple. And then if you have to do anything with the engine, you know, it's buried underneath everything. You have to remove the tank. But I'm not downing it. I mean, they're reliable bikes, the Hondas and everything like that. But I'm just trying to dispel the myths of the GS, because it's not a bad bike. It has a reputation of being this so expensive bike, but it's not, as far as reliability, dependability. And I know I've beaten this pretty hard before in the past. It's like beating a dead horse. But I just felt like talking about it because I'm out riding, and you know, I think that it's a good one. And also chime in on and I'll turn the camera back on when I get near that property, just to show you guys what the property looks like. But chime in on on what bike would you buy if you could, if the GS wasn't available. For the GS guys, obviously, you know, guys, if you don't have GS, it's, you know, but if it wasn't a GS, what would it be? Would it be the Multistrada or the KTM? So what would you guys do? Or is there something else that I'm not thinking about besides the KTM and the Multistrada and the Triumph, the new Triumph 1200? Yeah. So, you know, I think the GT would be more in line with, but you know, and I'm not talking about like the super adventures. I'm talking about the ones like the GS, the ones that are more compatible, where they're mostly on road, but you can take them off road. Like the GSA is mostly, you know, it's not mostly, but it's really designed for everything. A little bit higher suspension, big fuel tank, and where this I think is more, you know, more road biased, but you can take it off road. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys with these, you know, with the regular GSs off road, but. Yeah, all right, so I'm going to be back in a little bit. I just wanted to, you know, throw that at you because I'm riding, and it's a beautiful day, and so we'll be back later. All right, guys, we're getting pretty close. Figured to turn the camera back on. A little bit more windy roads around here. I don't know. Hopefully I can keep it on without low-siding it. Kind of a nice area. Move. The houses are very, very nice around here. And yeah, I'm in a cul-de-sac. The house is on a little bit of a grade. Let me see if I can just cruise around this way. You can get a better look. It drops down probably about 10 feet. And it's really not flat. I don't know if it would be ideal or not, but it's a beautiful looking home, shaded by trees and everything like that. As far as getting, you know, rigs in here and anything, I don't know if it would work. You know, I mean, it would work, you know, because it's a cul-de-sac here, so it's really nice, but it's got a driveway, which obviously I'm not going to go down, but it's a long driveway, gravel and stuff. It's a nice piece of property, but it's not flat at all. So, all right, guys, we've arrived at his at my buddy's at the property, and it's kind of nice, but I'm not sure it's what he's going to want. I have to figure out where I'm going to go from here, and yeah. So the property's kind of nice. It's a nice area, nice and quiet. Wake Forest tends to be, you know, a little pricey, but it's the area he wants to live in anyway. So, yeah. All right, guys. So that's it for today's video. I just wanted to quick end it. You know, what you guys think. I mean, as far as dependability, reliability on this bike, and I think it's all hyped up the wrong way. I think the bike is just super, and I've proven it on this bike. And what bike would you take if you couldn't have a GS? All right, guys, we'll have another video soon. Talk to you later.